Introduction to Positive Psychology and Judaism. 1. A Balanced Psychology. American psychology before World War II had three objectives. The first was to cure mental illness. The second was to make relatively untroubled people happier. And the third was to study genius and high talent. All but the first fell by the wayside after the war. Researchers turned to the study of mental disorders because that was where the founding was. Psychopathology became a primary focus of psychology in America because it made sense that at that time many very distressed people were left in the wake of World War II, and the high incidence of mental disorders had become a pressing and immediate problem. A wealth of excellent research resulted from this chain of events. In 1946, there were no effective treatments for any of the psychological disorders, whereas now we can cure 2 and treat another 12 via psychotherapy and or pharmacology. Seligman, 1993. Furthermore, the intensive study of psychopathology has given rise to methods of classifying the mental disorder, International Classification of Diseases, 9th edition, and Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, 4th edition. And these methods have allowed clinical psychologists to produce diagnoses with acceptable accuracy and to reliably measure symptoms that were once quite difficult to pinpoint. After 50 years and $30 billion of research, psychologists and psychiatrists can boast that we are now able to make troubled people less miserable, and that is surely a significant scientific accomplishment. The downside of this accomplishment is that a 50-year focus on disease and pathology has taken its toll on society and on science. In our efforts to fix the worst problems that people face, we have forgotten about the rest of our mission as psychologists. Approximately 30% of people in the USA suffer from a severe mental disorder at one time or another. Kessler, et al. 1994. And we have done an excellent job of helping that 30%. It is time now to turn to another 70%. Although these people may not be experiencing severe pathology, there is good evidence to indicate that the absence of mental maladies does not constitute happiness. Diener and Lucas, 2000. Even if we were asymptomatically successful at removing depression, anxiety, and anger, that will not result in happiness. For we believe happiness is a condition over and above the absence of unhappiness. As a supplement of the vast research on the disorders and their treatment, we suggest that there should be an equally tough study of strengths and virtues, and that we should work towards developing interventions that can help people become lastingly happier. 2. What is happiness? Towards this goal, our first order of business is to determine what it is we were trying to increase. What is happiness? More words have been written about this great philosophical question than perhaps any other. Science can no more presume to answer this question than other classic philosophical questions, such as what is the meaning of life? But science can illuminate components of happiness and investigate empirically what builds those components. With that said, a review of the literature led us to identify 3 constituents of happiness. 1. Pleasure or positive emotion. 2. Engagement. And 3. Meaning. We define these 3 routes to happiness in the paragraphs that follow. We first route to greater happiness is hedonic, increasing positive emotion when people refer in casual conversation to being happy. They are often referring to this route. Within limits, we can increase our positive emotion about the past. Example, by cultivating gratitude and forgiveness. Our positive emotion about the present. Example, by savoring and mindfulness. And our positive emotion about the future. Example, by building hope and optimism. A second route to happiness involves the pursuit of gratification. The key characteristic of a gratification is that it engages us fully. It absorbs us. Individuals may find gratification in participating in a great conversation, fixing a bike, reading a good book, teaching a child, playing the guitar, or accomplishing a difficult task at work. We can take shortcuts to pleasures. Example, eating ice cream, having a message, or using drugs. But no shortcuts exist to gratification. We must involve ourselves fully, and the pursuit of gratifications requires us to draw on character strengths such as creativity, social intelligence, sense of humor, perseverance, and an appreciation of beauty and excellence. Although gratifications are activities that may be enjoyable, they are not necessarily accompanied by positive emotions. We may say afterwards that the concert was fun, but what we mean is that during it, we were one with music, undistracted by thought or emotion. Indeed, the pursuit of a gratification may be at times unpleasant. Consider, for example, the gratification that comes from training for an endurance event, such as a marathon. At any given point during the grueling event, a runner may be discouraged or exhausted, or even in physical pain. However, they may describe the overall experience as intensely gratifying. Finding flow in gratifications need not involve anything larger than the self. Although the pursuit of gratifications involves developing our strengths, a third route to happiness comes from using these strengths to belong to and in the service of something larger than ourselves. Something such as knowledge, goodness, family, community, politics, justice, or a higher spiritual power. The third route gives the life meaning. It satisfies a longing for purpose in life and is the antidote to a fidgeting until we die syndrome. Peterson et al. 2005. Develop reliable measures for all three routes to happiness and demonstrate that people differ in the tendency to rely on one rather than another. We call a tendency to pursue happiness by boosting positive emotion. The pleasant life, the tendency to pursue happiness via gratification, the good life, and the tendency to pursue happiness via using our strengths towards something larger than ourselves, the meaningful life. A person who uses all three routes to happiness leads the full life. The recent empirical evidence suggests that those who lead the full life have much the greater life satisfaction. Peterson et al. 2005. 3. Interventions to nurture happiness. We have designed and test intervention to nurture each of the three routes to happiness: pleasure, gratification, and meaning. Positive emotions are increased and the pleasant life is promoted by exercises that increase gratitude, that increase savoring, that build optimism, and that challenge discouraging beliefs about the past. Interventions that increase the good life identify participants' signature strengths and use them more often and in creative new ways. Meaningful life interventions aim toward participants identifying and connecting with something larger than themselves by using their signature strengths. Some of these interventions can be found at authenticalhappiness.org. We are in the process of testing the efficacy of these interventions by randomly assigning individuals to interventors or to a placebo control, and measuring their level of happiness and depression before the intervention, immediately after it, 1 week later, 1 more month later, and 3 months later. Early results demonstrate that 1. It is possible to boost individuals' levels of happiness, and 2. 3 effects do not fade immediately after the intervention, as is the case with the placebo. The good things in the life. Exercise provides an example of an efficacious intervention designed to increase positive emotion about the past. This exercise requires individuals to record, even for a week, 3 good things that happen to them each day and why those good things occur. After completing this exercise, individuals were happier and less depressed at the 3-month follow-up. Seligman and STEAM, 2005. Note that these research designs are exactly parallel to the random assignment, placebo-controlled experiments that are the hallmark of medication and psychotherapy outcome literature, except that the intervention is targeted to increase happiness rather just to decrease suffering. Our research places us among a growing number of positive psychologists who are committed to understanding and cultivating those factors that nurture human flourishing, and we are encouraged that the field of positive psychology seems to be thriving as well. Our goal is an integrated, balanced field that integrates research on positive states and trails with research on suffering and pathology. We are committed to a psychology that concerns itself with repairing weakness as well as nurturing strengths. A psychology that concerns itself with remedying deficits as well as promoting excellence, and a psychology that concerns itself with reducing that which diminishes life as well as building that which makes life worth living. We are committed to a balanced psychology. A balanced psychology and a full life. M.E.P. Seligman, Acacia, C. Parks, and Tracy Steen. The Royal Society, 18 August 2004. Reprinted with permission.